Hi, welcome to All Christian Fellowship. We are a caring and equipping church influencing the world with God's love. Because we know that one of the best ways to spread God's love is by praying for the coming and establishment of His kingdom. And this is the fifth video of the series on the Lord's Prayer. In the last two videos, we spoke about the words, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. You remember that? You can take a look on the videos here. Today we will jump to the following phrase of this prayer, but we will again have to split it into sections. This way we can spend more time in some details. So take another look at Jesus' words. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. The first and most important question: what on earth are we praying for when we ask for God's kingdom to come, right? Again, as with other videos, we need a bit of history to understand Jesus' second request. This is not only a matter of religious or spiritual stuff, no. Or at least it is spiritual as long as you understand spirituality as an integral reality, where all in our daily lives is interconnected. Jesus' contemporaries were longing for God to become king. All Jewish people had the same hope. And that is not only because the scriptures had promised so, but also because they were fed up with the other kings they had had for far too long. Specifically speaking of Jesus' time, as far as people were concerned, the Roman emperors were a curse, and the Herodian dynasty was a joke. It was time for the true God, the true King, to step into history, to take the power and the glory and claim the kingdom for his own. There's also the prophetic hope aspect of this conversation. The prophets had promised God's kingdom following his guidance. Ezekiel said that Yahweh himself would come to be shepherd of Israel. Zechariah said that Yahweh would come and all his saints with him. Malachi said that the Lord people are seeking will suddenly come to his temple. And Isaiah said that there will be a highway in the desert because the valleys and mountains will be flattened out. The glory of Yahweh will be revealed, and all people will see it together. All these prophets are in fact shouting out loud saying, our God is here. And their messages hold together the majesty as well as the gentleness of this amazing God who comes in power to feed his flock like a shepherd and gently lead his people to the establishment of his kingdom here on earth. And you know what? This is precisely the kingdom message Jesus lived by. And this prophetic vision is nothing less than the basis of the Lord's Prayer. Okay, so what does it mean? Well, Jesus knew these prophecies intimately and understood God wanted him to make them the theme of his own work. And that is why he taught us to say, your kingdom come. Now, here's something a bit shocking for us who have gone through 2,000 years of religious traditions of Western Christianity. We do not want to mix Jesus' message with historical, national, and political liberation, right? Of course not. We prefer to close our eyes to history and any kind of political context the people in Jesus' time faced, so that we can affirm that Jesus was not into politics. That's because we think politics is a bad thing. It is an earthly thing connected only to this specific time, to this specific place. So we like to say that Jesus came with a spiritual message, the timeless and eternal truths of personal and individual salvation, right? And I understand all of that. We live in a broken world. We have all suffered the anguish of this evil time. We want to reach a place where pain is not a fact. However, splitting Jesus and his message from the reality of the word to which he himself came for restoration and salvation does not seem to be a wise move, right? After all, what do we do with the words on earth as it is in heaven, for instance? Take a look at Jesus' words from the Gospel to Revelation, and you will see that whatever Jesus' kingdom announcement was all about, it was definitely about something that actually happens within the space-time world. Well, we quickly understand that God's kingdom is not something that happens only after our death, right? Otherwise, by praying, "Your kingdom come," Jesus would be asking God to kill us to the establishment of God's plan. And that doesn't make any sense. So here's the thing. Jesus' message challenges any narrow spiritualistic view today, much as it challenged the simple one-dimensional liberationist kingdom vision that his contemporaries cherished. What I'm trying to say is this. If Isaiah's message is about God's healing for the nations, this will not be achieved by military victory, because the Prince of Peace will defeat evil without having to abandon peace itself to do it. Okay, but what do Jesus' words, "Your kingdom come," mean then? Well, they refer to a couple of critical things. First, God's kingdom will come to release the captive. Such liberation does not require a call to arms to fight for liberty. No, every time Jesus celebrated life with the outcasts and misfits, for instance, he was showing the kingdom includes all people. The kingdom is for everybody, including you and me. Second, Jesus spoke and acted in a way which demonstrated that the long and dark reign of evil would finally be defeated through his own work. A quick read through Isaiah's book will show the story about a strange character called the servant of the Lord, who will be God's agent in accomplishing his work. For instance, Isaiah chapters 40 through 55 reveals the promise of God's kingdom through the job description, showing how this promise is to be realized. Jesus knew about it. He knew how evil would be defeated. And finally, Yahweh himself will return to his people. He will come with power, he will come with justice, and also gentle as a shepherd. Jesus spoke of his own work in the same terms. You remember that? He is rescuing the lost sheep. He is the embodiment of all the stories he told us about the King. And that is why Jesus taught his disciples to pray, "Your kingdom come." And that prayer astonishingly was answered. To their own great surprise, Jesus' first followers quickly came to believe that God's kingdom had come and his will had been done. Now, Jesus' first followers held to a rock-solid and dangerous claim. They believed that in the unique life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, the whole universe had turned a corner from darkness to light. The kingdom was indeed here. But the thing is this, if the kingdom is here, why is there still injustice? Why is there still hunger and guilt and evil? Well, they didn't dodge this question. No, they didn't escape into saying something like, "Oh no, we didn't mean that. We're just talking about a new individual spiritual experience, leading to us sharing God's kingdom in heaven, not here on earth." Well, they didn't say that. They went on praying and living the Lord's Prayer. And they told us to do the same. The kingdom did indeed come with Jesus, and it will fully come when the world is healed, when the whole creation finally joins in God's story. And the only way to be sure of that is to pray Jesus' prayer. What then might it mean to pray this kingdom prayer today? Well, it means that as we look up into the face of our Father in heaven and commit ourselves to the hallowing of his name, we look immediately out upon the whole world that he made, and we see it as he sees it. We need to see the world with the love of the Creator for His creation, but also with His deep grief for the terrible state in which the world now finds itself. Put those two views together, love and grief, and you will understand that both the love and the grief join into the shape of the cross. There has never been such great love and such intense grief as the love and the grief of God. No, with them, Jesus won. The kingdom is coming. And that is why we still say the Lord's Prayer today. That is why we still say, your kingdom come. And remember, this is the 5th video in our series on this famous prayer of Jesus. So stay tuned for upcoming messages. It is time to pray. It is time to talk to and listen to God. All the best to you and your family. Be in peace.